Washington. And we have not gone to Washington as a black-led group with white progressives and Latinos, everybody going with us. We've not stood up there in the shadows of the Supreme Court, in the shadows of the Congress, and say that we want a new Voting Rights Act. We want you to hear the...
Bonsoir tout le monde, c'est un plaisir pour que nous ensemble avec une émission 4G complet. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a pleasure for us to be at the studio to have another show. We are going to do the show mostly in English because we have a special guest, the candidate for the City Council in West Orange. As every Tuesday, we always try to listen to a little bit of Reverend Al Sharpton, so we always do that. So we're gonna spend 1 hour speaking with our friend Justin Goldsman. He is a candidate for City Council in West Orange. So we are coming back to you. Don't move. We will be right back.
And we demanded, and now we're gonna go home. I'm gonna lay out how we're gonna do voter brigades all over the country. Then we're going south and work the southern states. But we're gonna mobilize in Washington and leave on assignment. People all over the country is already ordering buses. You gotta watch that have not registered. You can go right now to nationalactionnetwork.net and say, I want to organize a bus. I want to get on a bus. Nationalactionnetwork.net.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, August 28th, there will be a march on Washington led by the National Action Network with Reverend Al Sharpton, Martin Luther King III, and people from all over the country. And just like you heard, people also from outside the country will take part of this march. Now, it is time for us to welcome our guests. First of all, he's gonna present himself. This is the first time he is in our studio, and this is our first interview. He will present himself with a little bit of background on who he is before we get to politics. Good evening, Justin. How are you doing? Yes,
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure, and I'm looking forward to some conversation and to talk about West Orange.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about you. So, who is Justin?
Sure.
Goldsman. This is his flyer, and people who are listening. So please listen, because the candidate will talk. In Haiti, we always have a pleasure to listen to the candidate. So every time someone is running for office, so people say, listen carefully about what they say. So Justin, we would like to hear from you and tell us a little bit about your background, where you were born, the year, basically a little synopsis of who is Justin.
Sure. So thank you. Born and raised in West Orange.
Good.
So it's my hometown. It's a place I love dearly. Went off to college at the University of Miami and did my master's at the University of Florida, which is in higher education administration. So I've spent time on multiple college campuses, seeing the challenges that young people are facing, and as a 33-year-old candidate, resonating with some of those stories. But I've worked in government. I worked for one of the state's largest unions. I worked for the late Congressman Payne Jr., who represented, we're in Orange right now, but represented this district, and as well as my hometown of West Orange. And then I worked in the New Jersey Assembly, helping pass major policy reforms, reviewing the state's multi-billion-dollar budget, and really trying to pass good work that benefits the residents of not just West Orange, but all of our state. And now I'm running for town council. I'm really excited about that opportunity. There's some good folks in the race. I like to focus on what I do well rather than talk about where I see flaws in other people. We all have our own criticisms of ourselves. So I talk about what I think I can bring to the table in a positive way that can help, shape West Orange in a better future that I think. So that's a little bit about me.
Wow. When you said you worked for the late Congressman Donald Payne, so can you elaborate on that? Because
Sure.
I know the congressman, and he unfortunately passed away like a couple of years ago. It was a big shock for us because Donald Penn always support the Asian community.
Yep.
Even if it's a candidate, Asian candidate, the community, everything that happening, we always go to talk with Donald Penn. His father also, his father was huge when I used to listen to all the thing Donald Penn Senior did. I'm like, oh my God, the guy was a superstar, and his son follow his footsteps. Can you elaborate a little bit about, or did you know the congressman and or you work out?
Sure. So I worked with Congressman Payne Jr. in his Newark office, so out of the district office in Newark, where we helped residents with tons of issues, whether that was with Medicare or Social Security, immigration needs, right?
Yes.
If you were here waiting for, your spouse for a long time, or your green card was delayed, or if you lost vital documents, or if you had concerns about legislation that, the federal government was trying to pass, we would help you, we would listen to you, we would do what we call constituent relationships, constituent relations. But the congressman and I got to know each other very well. He was a mentor to me. I looked up to him very, very, very much so. And his father was his big inspiration, and my father was mine. My dad was a lawyer working out of East Orange. Used to call all of his clients used to call him a Goldsman. So the congressman and I got to know each other very, very well, and I do miss him dearly. But we did a lot of great work, from helping replace lead in your water. That Mayor Ras Baraka took a very, very bold and strong initiative on, to just making sure that local communities had what they needed: small business support, infrastructure money to help repair your roads, and really just providing the constituent services that elected officials should aspire to do. Right? It's not always about titles. It's not always about the flashy awards and the limelight. It's about really, putting your feet to the ground and doing the work to help each other. So that's, I learned a lot from the congressman, and his saying was, I might not be able to have all the answers, but I want you to leave my office in a better place than before you got here. So I think that's a good life model to go off of, right? You can't always solve everything, but if you can help a little bit, sometimes it makes a big difference for people.
Well, thank you for the answer. Can you elaborate on your candidacy? So basically, you is not someone who just come to politics. You did do your homework, and you work for a great person in our community. So what got you into politics, and why you running for city council?
Sure. So, I think the 2016 election really inspired me. We would always talk politics as a family, but I would normally just listen. I didn't normally formulate my real own opinions. My first vote ever was for President Obama. But I got really involved after the 2016 election. I started a grassroots organization that brought in, we had lots of volunteers, and we did work that was about elections, right, electing candidates, but we did some really great work around some restorative justice efforts. We made thousands of phone calls for restoring the right to vote in New Jersey to those who were previously incarcerated. So those individuals who are on parole and probation can now vote in New Jersey, and we made thousands of calls to support that effort. We made a lot of efforts on, legalizing the legalization of cannabis. But I served on my town's environmental commission, my town's human relations commission, and my town's public relations commission. So I've gotten to know, the volunteer side of a lot of our different issues and areas that we're facing in town. And, I see this as a really good opportunity to, I'd be the youngest member on our town council. And I think oftentimes we take a young vote for granted, and we try to placate them, and we don't really listen and speak to the needs. And that goes for every constituency, right? And no constituency is, a monolith or the same, but, I think it's really important to have those different perspectives and those, a younger generation that's facing affordability crises, child care, caring for your parents who might be, senior or with some medical issues, AI and job displacement, climate change. All those are really important issues that are facing particularly, voters and, residents in my generational age gap, 33, 40, 25. The 2016 election inspired me, got involved locally, and I've done a lot of homework. I've done lots of policy work, and I'm ready to actually provide some new energy and real solutions for our community in West Orange that I love so dearly.
Yes, you just said you don't want to get into other people's business. Unfortunately for you, the press love to know more about what is going on. So tell us, so what is going on exactly? What is your perspective of the situation inside the West Orange municipal, like with the mayor and with the city council? Because there's a lot is going on, a lot of lawsuit. People outside of the city are suing a West Orange, and people inside of the city council are suing each other, and it's a very big problem. You don't have to name names, but tell us a little bit from your perspective. So what is going on, and or you think the problem will be solved? Because when there's a lot of lawsuits, so there's a lot of I think that the people in the community will suffer. So tell us a little bit about the situation.
So on the lawsuits, we have 6 what we call builders remedy lawsuits. So
6 of them.
6 of them, which will turn out to be very costly.
From different people, or
yes. So we have 6 different developers trying to sue our town. That has to do with our affordable housing plan. As you may know, I watched your previous interviews with Councilman Williams and Board of Ed President Brian Rock. And so the way that builders remedy lawsuits are, each municipality, each city, each town have to come up with an affordable housing plan. When you're late on submitting that plan, developers can kind of view the opportunity as almost like a vulture, right? You're a sitting carcass. And they can come in and kind of prey on the opportunity to say, we promised that we would build you 50 affordable units, but you're late, so we're going to build you 10, or we're going to sue you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I need a little bit of education onto this situation. So that means some people from outside can just come in and sue you just because probably you're late on your budget, or you have some bureaucracy and there are some delays. So people, they just can't come and sue you.
So we have a state mandated deadline.
Yes. Tammy Williams elaborate on that.
Yep. So you have a state mandated deadline that every municipality, every town is required to submit your affordable housing deadline on.
Okay.
So some of these projects, these developments, were in the works and in discussion to be considered as part of our affordable housing plan. When you're late to basically codify them and to say, we accept this and we're going to move into the next phase of the project, you're essentially late on your state plan. So then your other contracts are kind of a little murky and unclear. So then they can sue you and kind of say, you're not in compliance with the state, so I don't have to be in compliance with what you're doing, right?
Oh, okay. So it's legal for them to do that.
Yes.
So they give them legal power.
It is completely legal for them to do that, and that's why it's important that we adhere and listen to legal advice when our lawyers give it to us for the town.
And who's gonna pay for
the taxpayers will pay for the lawsuit. The taxpayers will pay for the lawsuit. Hopefully we can settle them in a positive manner. And maybe they'll rescind the lawsuits, but it's not a good situation when you're in discussions for too long and then you miss a deadline, right? It's like a contract almost. You told me by this date it'd be done. Now I'm going to sue you because you didn't,
I can ask for any delay, or I can
right.
So the town cannot ask for delay or nothing.
So that's legal matters, and the council might be having discussions that I don't know about.
Okay.
Because that's their right as council members. They're aware of information that I, as a candidate or just as a resident, aren't.
Oh, okay.
But they might be in discussion with their legal teams and saying, we were late. We'll offer you this. We'll put this on the table. Don't sue us. We'll lower this. We'll maybe sue us for less. But the legality of the lawsuits are things that I'm not made aware of because of their confidential nature. But yeah, so that's what happens when you have a council and a mayor who don't collaborate positively together. It's the mayor's job to present that plan to the town council, and then it's the town council's job to approve the plan. I would say that both parties were to blame. The mayor was late, and the council took too long to approve it and had too many questions. And then instead of, listening to the guidance of legal and our zoning department, who said, if you don't do, they lit on a council meeting, they said, we will get sued if we don't approve this. And, sometimes hindsight is 20/20, but now we have 6 developers who are suing our township. And that not only hurts our ability to provide affordable housing to residents, which is important because they'll come back and say they want to do less, but we're also going to get sued, which is going to hurt your taxes.
Oh, all right. So this is a big mess.
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah, this is a big mess. And the resident gonna pay, and we know affordability. It's not. This is a big subject. Yeah, and then when you're gonna spend more money, just to, I don't know. So I'm still confusing because all the state gonna allow something like that. So they have some, and we know bureaucracy, and no,
Mhm.
you know, in democracy, with this bureaucracy thing gonna take time. I understand they need a little bit of pressure,
Mhm.
but so the city and the people gonna pay
Mhm.
for the situation, and I think that's that's very difficult to swallow.
Mhm.
You understand? Very difficult to swallow. And West Orange, it's very high on tax, and
Yes.
I know that it's very high on tax.
Yeah.
So who are those developers, and for what? Because last time I went to Wani Circle, I see they build a lot of housing.
And Rooney Circle.
Yeah, in Wani Circle. So those developers, they are building more house where?
So there's a few properties around town.
Okay.
None of them are as big as the property you just mentioned. So that was
Okay.
Stone Hill. That was
Stone Hill,
Stone
okay.
Hill. Yeah. That was built. And those are all full, right? People really like those units.
Yeah, they're brand new. They're brand new, and
brand new, right by the Essex Green ShopRite.
Mhm.
So there's a couple projects all over town. One of the biggest ones that we are being probably going to be sued over is the West Essex Highlands project. So it borders, so it's in like the northern part of West Orange, where it borders Verona and Roseland and Essex Fells.
Okay.
There's an individual who owns the Minnesota Vikings who wants to build hundreds of units and cut down 6,000 trees.
Yes.
And we fought very hard. Our planning board denied that, which was great, but there's a whole back history of that'll take a whole nother show for you. But so there were a lot of environmental concerns with that project, and I'm glad our planning board voted that down because that was the right thing to do for our environment, for
Yes.
flooding.
I went to this meeting. I went to this city council meeting. So there was a lot of outcry about there was cutting a lot of trees, and there's a water source around there. I forget, but it
Yes,
was
the Essex Fells, and I think Verona get their water from that water area. Yeah.
Okay. So they said now they gonna sue for how much? How much all those losses?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
That's private information, but it's millions of dollars, I'm sure.
Yes. All right. So now let's get to your priorities.
Sure.
You see, I see you have a little bit of flyers. So can you tell us a little bit about your campaign, your message to the community?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think my message to the community is that government, you look at different offices for government, right? You vote for a mayor, you vote for a town council member, you vote for board of ed member, but you also vote for a United States senator, a congressperson, your members that go to Trenton. And it's really important that you have elected officials who understand what every level of government is doing, right? What the federal government does is out of your control as a local city, township elected official, but you need to know how to be able to respond. You need to be able to say, healthcare costs are going to go up a lot. That impacts my residents. That impacts my budgets from our town employees. Whether it's about immigration or whether that's about just other changes that the federal government does, or even the state. Those are things that have direct impacts on business owners, on residents. So I think my message there is electing people who have good relationships with those different levels of government and have experience, right, with your federal office, like with a congressman or a congresswoman, in our case with Congresswoman McIver. Those are really important conversations to have. But on my priorities specifically, I think we need to do a better job in West Orange at supporting our local businesses. We need to do a better job of protecting our environment. We just got crushed with all of those floods that we saw, 2 weeks ago. We have a lot of work to do when it comes to flood prevention in our town. I'm really big on new forms of transit. West Orange doesn't have a train station. So there's things that we can do that other towns are doing really well with micro transit, a public-private partnership with an Uber or a Via or a Lyft to help residents get around town. And then I'm really big on collaboration, because at the end of the day, it's your tax dollars. So it makes a lot more sense when your board of ed, when your mayor, when your town council are all talking to each other And housing isn't a council issue, because when you build more housing, that's important. That also impacts your classroom sizes for your kids.
Yes.
So it's really important to have those continuous conversations with your other elected officials and making sure that we're all working for the residents in the same way. Because I could build an apartment complex that might be great, 50 affordable units. That's awesome. That's 50 new people that can come to town or that live in town and can help their affordability. But if I block a bus route so the kids can't get to school anymore, or backs up your traffic stop, those are conversations that we need to have with all of our levels of government. So I'm looking to bring real policy, real collaboration to our town, because I think we're really missing that. I think we're missing people who are willing to go the extra step to say, let's have a coffee and sit down and talk to you about what the council's doing, and you're a member of the Board of Ed or you're the mayor. Let's work together instead of blame each other. And I think we're really missing that. And then I'm big on transparency and making sure that our agendas are posted in the right timeline so that our residents can engage in their democracy. I'm really, really not a fan of things getting added to the agenda at the last minute. Because when you add things to the last minute, you create distrust, right? Or why'd they put it on here at the last minute? Are they trying to do something sneaky? Sometimes it's just a matter of we forgot to put it on there, but that doesn't take away from the residents having the right to read things before your elected officials vote on them. Because if you vote on something and with just today we had a council meeting at 12 o'clock to pass, so 12 o'clock on a Tuesday. Nobody's able to go, but it was important because we were talking about changing parking in an area in town on
Valley Street.
On Valley Road, and it's incredibly important that we do that because those residents have been coming there for about 15 years, talking about I keep getting parking tickets to park in front of my own home, and there's kids from Seton Hall who are taking up my parking spot in front of my house. But when you change the ordinances at a last minute, you change the agenda at a last minute, people don't know if they should come out to that meeting. If that wasn't on the agenda or I can't make that meeting, that's not good for our democracy. That's not good for residents to opine, whether they like it or not. It's helpful for elected officials to hear good and bad because that informs your approach, right? No input is bad input because it might be something that you didn't think of.
Yes. Yep. 2026 made the USA 250 years anniversary.
Yes.
And democracy has been very welcome in America. Recently we find out that probably democracy is not that welcoming, just like the immigrants. So in West Orange, they are the program, a little bit of program, and where you can write a wish for America for his 250 years birthday. So what is your wish for America?
It's a great question. I think my wish for America is that we strive to become that more perfect union, that we are okay with disagreement, but we can do so in a respectful way, that when you disagree, you're not disagreeable, when you don't look at people as the other, when you welcome people, whether they wear a yarmulke or a hijab, or you're, a member of the LGBTQ community, or you're an immigrant, or you're born here, whether you're black or white or Hispanic, Latino, just to create a more welcoming and inclusive country that we can have good debates. Good debates are healthy for democracy, but where at the end of the day we come together and say, you're still my neighbor. That's my wish for America.
Yeah, all right. So I think the situation right now, it's just like you're trying to rewrite a story. And when you're doing that, there's gonna be a lot of problems. So West Orange is very late in supporting the immigrant. Then recently they took a young man from a restaurant in Freeman Street. He was coming out to work, and then ICE took him. I know this gentleman very, very well. So as a new city council member, so what you will change in the city posture to help the immigrant? Because right now, West Orange is not passing any law or any agreement to protect immigrant in any kind of ways. And I know there is a lot of different community in West Orange. So what is your promise to the immigrant community?
Sure. So first, I just want to, you said there's many different communities. So not every community is exactly the same, right? Not every demographic of X, Y, and Z believes the same things. But we have this local resolution in West Orange that's intended to curtail the authority that ICE can have, to make it basically just say that if you want to use township property, whether that's a park or a school or our town hall, you need to show a warrant. And that, to your point about democracy being fragile, you need to uphold our Constitution. You need to follow due process. If someone is here and doing bad things, whether they're a citizen or they're not, we should address that. I don't. Exactly. If someone is a criminal, you're a criminal. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
But I don't find it appropriate, and I find it disheartening, and quite frankly, I find it very scary to have masked people running around our streets, apprehending people, and especially without a warrant.
Yeah.
That reminds me of I'm proud to be Jewish. That reminds me of things that I heard about in the 30s in Germany. I mean, it's very scary. You need to follow rule of law. You need to follow our Constitution, and people are entitled to due process. So we have this resolution about ICE, which I wish our council would vote on. Unfortunately, they have not voted on it. We've had residents come time after time to advocate for that to be passed. Our mayor can do it by executive order, which she also has not done. So if they're watching, council and mayor, work together if you have to, but get it done. And something that I've also been pushing for, that I think is really important and should be easy. When you get a phone call from the county for snow, right? It says press 2 for Spanish. Impresa número 2 para español. We don't send our communications out in West Orange in multiple languages. So if we're talking about parking on your street and we're sending you a questionnaire about how can we better improve your parking, it's only in English. So if you're a resident who speaks Haitian Creole or speaks Spanish, of course there's some languages that we don't know who speaks them because there's only 1 or 2 people, but we should have our 3 biggest languages that we speak in West Orange be communicated in a manner in which people can understand them. So I've asked the council, I said all of our emergency alerts should be able to go out in at least English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole.
Yes.
And they've told us that we don't have the technology to do that. I don't believe that for a second. It might be a headache, it might be an extra step, but we absolutely have the technology to ensure that we're communicating effectively, that we're communicating appropriately. And you know what? If it costs a little bit more to send that text message, then you send it, because that's how you create an inclusive environment. Because the second you get something that you don't understand, you feel othered. You feel like you don't belong, or you have those questions. And I'd much rather spend the extra penny that it takes to send a text message than to have to send an ambulance because somebody drank water when they didn't read their alert the appropriate way. So communication is really important. And that's if the town doesn't want to pass that ICE resolution, that's on them. But I am asking them to pass this new communication styles that were inclusive. I'm on the leadership board for the West Orange Hispanic Foundation.
Okay, good.
And we do a lot of work in our community, whether that's Know Your Rights training, whether that's vaccine programs, whether that's food insecurity issues. Do a lot of great work to bring the community together. And a lot of time I do hear that, we wish we knew about these things. It wasn't translated for us.
Oh, okay.
And that's an easy lift, I think, to be able to just communicate to residents in languages that they can understand.
I have another question for you.
Please.
Do you think the immigrant community is not active enough into politics? Is that the reason they are getting attacked? And Democrat and Republican, they always use this immigration tools to go into election and try to win election, because the first time this guy he said Asian like something, and then the next time he said Asian eat cat and dog. They always use immigration in election to win over. So, in your opinion, what is the solution for that? So, do you think the immigrants should get more involved in elections, because they always being dragged into the election?
Yeah, I think anytime that your life and your values and things that affect you are on the ballot, you should be involved in the process.
Okay.
We haven't had federal real immigration reform in a very long time, in decades, and that's both parties are at fault. Democrats and Republicans
Yes.
are both at fault for that. And you'll notice that anytime there's real movement on immigration reform, it's in an off year. So it's always 2025, 2027, 2023, because nobody for federal office is on the ballot. And they don't want to have to answer those questions. So we have to stop punting. We need to do real immigration reform. You can have strong borders while treating people humanely and making sure that our country's safe. Whether that's more judges to process, court cases, help with asylum claims. There's lots of nonprofits that do great work, like Catholic Charities does a lot of great work. But we need to stop treating immigration as a topic and start realizing the human, the mental, the economic, all of those components to this situation and treat people with dignity that they deserve and stop punting it every election because now that you're in office, it's really great to talk about issues when you're not in office.
Yeah.
The second you get there, oh, it's controversial. I don't talk about it. People's lives aren't controversial.
Yeah.
We need to, the federal government needs to step up and answer that question and do work. New Jersey's done some good things with the Immigrant Trust Derivative and the Immigrant Trust Act reforms. A couple of years ago, I was part of the advocacy coalition that helped pass the driver's licenses for all bill.
Okay.
I was in Trenton in the State House the day that we said, regardless of your citizenship, you can get a driver's license as long as you can drive.
Yes.
As long as you can drive.
And that helps a lot of immigrants because a lot of them are doing Uber, Lyft, they're doing deliveries, and they truck driver. So thank you for that.
And it's not just the jobs that have to do with driving. You have to get to work to do your job.
Exactly.
You could be a pharmacy executive. You could be whoever you are. You still have to get to work.
Yes.
You could own the restaurant down the street. It's a matter of creating a society that's not just inclusive, but that had real benefits. That had economic benefits.
Yes.
That helped jobs immensely. And I think we need to start talking about immigration and immigration reform instead of, are you pro-human or anti? Look at the real consequences of the decisions that we make and how they impact people, right? With TPS going away,
yes,
you have 350,000 Haitian Americans who are in limbo, and now they're putting ankle bracelets on people, and it's crazy. But you have 350,000 people who now, just because of the snap of a finger, don't know if they can go to work, don't know how they're supposed to provide for their family, don't know if it's the last time they're going to say goodbye to their kid in the morning. If you're going to pass laws, even if I disagree with them, you have to communicate in a way that puts some clarity behind these things and not scare people, not force people to live in shadows. I might disagree with the laws. It could be about straws. It could be about anything you want, but you have to communicate the reasoning and the rationale and the implementation behind them.
Yes. What is your message for the Haitian community? Because in New Jersey, there are more than 10,000 people.
Yep.
Living with TBS, and what is your message, and how are you a friend of the community? Because right now we need people that understand us, that support us, and what is your message and for the Haitian community?
Yeah, I mean, for me, you have a friend in me to the Haitian community. I think my message to you is, as our host just said, it's important to get involved. It's important to make sure that your voice is heard. It's
because the bus company was going broke. They needed those black coins to keep the bus company going. When they broke the company, they broke segregation's back. Then they started a movement. They decided that the preachers were going to form an organization. Went to Baton Rouge and met and formed the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. They named it Christian. Named it, and president of it was Martin Luther King. They had freedom riders. The students said, we ain't in the church. We don't want to be the old folks. John Lewis and them formed SNCC. All of them came together in 63 and marched on Washington. SNCC, CORE, NAACP, Urban League, SCLC. It said if we all come together, we're pushing a civil rights act. Blacks, whites, Jews help lead the march. It was that demonstration that showed the nation that we could come together that led to the 64 Civil Rights Act. So you don't understand, marching helps to crystallize and put it out there. We need to, in the middle of what Trump is doing, to come right to Trump's town, right down the block from the White House, and show numbers that we are not with what you're doing. We're going to stand up on the day Martin Luther King did I have a dream to let you know the dream is still alive. And they got y'all running around talking about the DNC or the DSA. I don't care what D you got. I want to see us with the Voting Rights Act restored. I want to see us without dealing with DEI. I want to deal with reparation. I want us in Washington. They tell me they done messed up the reflection pool in front of Lincoln Memorial. That's where our march is going right there, because I want to show the emptiness of what they're reflecting in the reflection pool. You not only need to fix the pool, you need to fix the reflection. You reflected the wrong thing. We must stand up, because if somebody hadn't stood up, you wouldn't be where you are now. And if we don't stand up now, you won't be there long. Trump and them are not playing, they're coming straight out. Anytime here in court, now they're not in court fighting to break down barriers. They're in court trying to preserve the right to build a ballroom. While people can't pay for the groceries, he's fighting to build a ballroom in the White House. While gas is too high for some people, have to ration out what they're going to drive to work at night. He run around getting airplanes, giving them as a gift from people that just happen to be in business with his sons. Time to march again. Time to stand up again. Time to speak out again. Silence will not get it. We got to cry loud and spare not and lift up our voice like a trumpet in time. Somebody said to me, well, Reverend, do you really think all that work making the noise during the marching? Yeah, because this movement is a spiritual movement. And if we stand up, God will hold us up. And
yes, it was Al Sharpton, and on Friday, August 28th, there will be a march on Washington. Do you believe in march?
In marching?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have many times in my life, and yes, I think it's an important exercise of our democracy.
Can you give us some example of Where did you march and why did you march?
Sure. A couple of years ago, I marched with 32BJ SEIU, which is one of the state's largest unions, down Main Road in Newark towards Memorial Park, to make sure that they had fair wages and that we were fighting for contracts that were fair for our union workers. I went all the way out to North Dakota in 2016 to stand with the Standing Rock Sioux when they had that whole Dakota Access Pipeline issue years ago. So
that was huge.
Yeah, so I slept outside in the freezing cold in December or November in North Dakota to make sure that we were protecting clean water and indigenous rights. I've marched for many causes over the years in New Jersey. I think I've rallied with different members at the State House to make sure that our tax structure was fair and equitable. So marching is a very important process and part of our democracy. And the more people that get out there, you make your voices heard, the more important and the more profound your impact is.
Yes, we always talk about democracy, yes. And people always, well, so basically a lot of people take democracy for granted. They say, so democracy is here to stay. And now they find out, hey, guess what? If you do not defend democracy and you do not be part of democracy, there is a good chance you're gonna have something else other than democracy. Let me ask you, what did you do? What are you doing to defend democracy? Are you just running for office, or you part of the organization? So what else are you doing to defend democracy, and what do you think other people should do more to preserve democracy and to make it more robust?
Sure. So I think, a couple of years ago, you may have heard that, the way that our ballots in New Jersey were structured, we had the county line system. So years ago, I was part of the coalition that helped get rid of the county line to make our voting more accessible so that candidates had a better opportunity. That recently just settled in court a couple of weeks ago. So we've gotten rid of the county line system as we know it, so that everyone has a fair shot on the ballot. And I think that's really important. We've done things in New Jersey like return the right to vote for those who are on parole and probation, which I think is important. There's still an argument to be made about voting for those who are incarcerated or not. The state hasn't broached that subject yet. The state did just pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Empowerment Act, which I know Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson and Senator Timberlake right next door in East Orange were instrumental in passing, and that's great that we're codifying and expanding the voting rights protections that we have here in New Jersey. I was a board member of the statewide nonpartisan group called the Good Government Coalition of New Jersey. We went up and down the state. We did workshops on civic democracy, how you can get involved. We had workshops on what do your different levels of government do, right? What's the difference between a council member and a mayor? What's the difference between a state senator and a United States senator? But we did a lot of work on making sure that you knew how to look into your town's budgets. We knew how to, Oprah requests things, how to combat the county line at a local level, and make sure that your ballot structure in and of itself was a good democracy, and how folks should get more involved. Voting is the most important thing you can do, but I think getting involved in different groups, whether that's your local League of Women Voters, your local Democratic or Republican club, wherever you fall on the ideological spectrum, or political party you belong to, getting involved at the basic level is really important. And showing up to your council meetings and making your voice heard there is the most impactful way that you can make a local difference in your community, right? You got to vote, got to show up to your council meetings, and you have to speak out, right? You have to say, I don't want this, I don't want the speed limit on my street changed, or I do, or the way that my street floods is not okay. I elected you to office, you have to fix it. But elected officials don't know those concerns. They should, but they don't. They don't know those concerns unless you're showing up and being an active participant in our democracy. So I think, get involved in groups that align with the causes you care about, right? We were talking about immigration, so groups like Make the Road, who do incredible work in New Jersey, fighting for immigrant rights and a more just society that we have here, or your local political organizations that exist. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And Ahmed's great American. I've been in this country for over 20 years. Great people, great personality, but also there's a lot of crazy people. And it saddened me to see all American democracy is suffering right now. It's saddened me very, very much. I wrote a book on democracy. Democracy again. It's in Creole.
Okay.
Because a lot of people tell me, don't worry about it. American democracy is doing good. They said, don't even, you see, back in 2015, they said, don't even bother to consider that. You're not going to make the money because the American democracy is going to live long, strong forever. But now the situation is, well, not that fast. And it saddened me a lot to see that kind of situation, and people, they just don't care. For 250 years, they don't even care about what democracy represents for the country, because if you have something else and you cannot call the country America anymore, you cannot go around and say, we did this, we did that, you're gonna restart from scratch because you're a new person. They don't see it like that. They just say, oh, we don't care, we don't. So it's saddened me a lot. I'm from Haiti, and I know my community is very in a bad situation right now. It's very chaotic. And I used to fight with people in Haiti. You need to go to democracy. You need to do this. This is the way democracy is structured. You can do it. And the best example everybody always take, look at America. And now a lot of those people say, well, guess what? So something is not going on. And even people right in here in America, they always have something. They always have something against democracy. They always say, oh, democracy is this. But they always tell them, so the country is running good and this. And then now they say, hey, what is going on now, Joe? You understand? So it's saddened me. It very saddened me to see the country and this group of people. They don't give a F about democracy at all. They don't care. They just want, I don't know. So I hope things gonna change and upload. A lot of people now, progressive people, Democrat people, they stood up, they said, no, you can't do it like that. And it will be very sad. Not even 10 years that a guy just came and then he's gonna throw 250 years away. That's not fair. Now, what is your promise to not getting involved into all this mess into city hall in West Orange?
When you say
like the lawsuit, being late with the budget and getting sued with other people, and also I saw you made a video about the sign for the West Orange public library. So what is the situation on that?
Sure. So on the library side, I think it's important that we do that elected officials and candidates really do their homework. So I'm kind of a nerd, and I read all of the agendas. I read all of the bills that come out, and I noticed that there was $25,000 that was labeled for library renovation.
Yes.
Our library is pretty new in West
Mm-hmm.
Orange, maybe 3 years old. I don't remember the exact date. So I said, what could we possibly need to spend $25,000 to renovate? It's a brand new building. So I asked at a council meeting, and they said it was for a new library sign. So I went up and I looked at the sign. The address was wrong on the library sign. The address for our West Orange library is 12 Rooney Circle. It's a great library. It's a brand new building. You should go visit it. Parking is a nightmare, and that's a big problem. It's a big problem with our library. It's not ADA accessible. It's not very easy if you're a senior or you need a wheelchair or crutches or anything. It's a problem. But we spent $25,000 on a library sign that had the wrong address on it. So those are types of things about wasteful spending and just proofreading more. But to your point about some of the lawsuits and the things that are late, I think it's really important to elect people who are willing and able to work with other people, right? It's not about you. It's not about my idea. It's not about, this is my great idea and I want to see it done. It's great that you have ideas, but how can we work collaboratively to get them done? And I'm happy to say, I've had coffee with the other folks who are running for town council.
Okay.
We have 2 seats that are open, so I've met with some of the other candidates, and we just got to know each other well, and that's important, right? Because you can have good ideas, and the point is to get those ideas to the finish line. If you win, if I win, if she wins, if he wins, just get the good ideas out there. And I've met with all the candidates who are running for mayor, which is important because I want us to be able to have a working relationship, whoever wins, right?
Okay.
You had 2 candidates on here who were running for mayor. I've had coffee and we've met with both of them.
Perfect.
And I think that's really important, right? We can disagree on some issues, but unless we have a working relationship, if the first encounter I have with you is a fight, there's not going to be a second encounter.
Yes.
So start in a good place, and then you build that trust in those relationships so that you can actually disagree. You can disagree with your friends and your allies, even your best supporters, right? You could have people who knock 5,000 doors for me, and if you want to do that, come on out. But if you have a bad idea, I'm going to tell you it's a bad idea. So I'm sorry. But that's how you build trust.
Yes.
You put your trust in your elected officials,
to be honest,
and you earn it. And you might disagree, but that's okay. But that to avoid some of those lawsuits, to avoid the back and forth and the fighting, you have to start with laying down those groundworks. And I go to all the council meetings. I'm very respectful to them. Everyone is councilman or councilwoman, and they get annoyed because they're like, call me blank, and I'm like, no. Your title is whatever. I'm not gonna not call you by your appropriate title. But at the end of the day, it's not about titles. It's about doing the work for the people and for the residents, and making sure that West Orange is working for everybody.
All right, thank you for this answer because it's very important to know what is the situation and not repeat the situation.
100%.
Because it's very sad. It's very sad. I see. I mean, East Orange, the mayor, it's in good situation with all the council member, council women, and other city also. So it's very important. So this situation to be fixed at the West Orange City Council with the mayor, because fighting each other, it's not a good sign, and the resident and the community will always suffer. I remember there was a protest for the sign for the banner, LGBT.
The steps.
Yeah, he had a step, and then the protest was basically against the mayor. But the mayor, she was there, and everybody was shocked. When I was there, when I saw him, I said, "Is that her?" And then people said, "Oh my God!"
I was there.
Yeah,
and I think that's important. I think it's important to elect people, and I'm not giving her any cover for that. That was bad. But she showed up.
Yes,
and that was important.
Yeah.
Part of being elected is not everyone's going to agree with you.
Yeah,
but you have to listen to them.
Yeah,
that's your job. So I give her credit for showing up. We shouldn't have had to been there in the first place. But yeah, no.
Yeah,
it was,
yes. She did. Yes. And she's up to a lot of events. A lot of cultural events at the West Orange City Art City Council. So I'll always see there and in different activities. Well, probably it's the point of view that create all the chaos, but she's a very Anna. Now, what's going on with the budget? So, do you have any idea with the city budget?
With our town budget? Yeah.
Budget? Yeah.
So West Orange. So I want to be clear that our schools and our town have 2 different budgets.
Okay.
So our school board budget is about $14.5–15 million in deficit. Our town is $171 million in debt. That's a lot of money. We just finished our budget workshops, where I thank our council and our administration for doing this, where we go through the budget page by page. The council members will ask questions, and then the public has the opportunity to ask questions. I think that's a really good exercise of democracy.
Yes.
So that residents can come up and say, why are we spending $10,000 on this program? I have a better idea. You can do it for $5,000, or if you do this program in a different way, it can serve two benefits at the same time, and we can share services and we can do things like that. So we're $171 million in debt. It's going to take a long time to pay that debt off. The council has a debt management plan that one of our council members, Councilman Koviak, put into place. It's a framework, so it's an idea. It doesn't bind us to anything, but our budget is a mess. We are late on the budget. Again, just like we were last year. That's where you had one of those lawsuits because the mayor and the council were going at each other for a little bit there about the late budgets. But I've gone to every single one of those budget meetings. I've spoken at all of them. I've helped us save money in that budget process by offering new ideas, new solutions, new grants, new ways to do things. And
very helpful. Very helpful. Yeah. Now, try to educate me.
Sure.
All the city got into that mess with all this budget deficit. Is that because of lawsuit? Is that because of program? So, what is the reason for a city to be into so much debt? And we know it's gonna be on the resident back to pay all those the deficit.
So I think there's a couple issues that have to do with our debt and how expensive things are. One is the cost of healthcare.
Okay.
And that's something that our town can't control.
Okay, for the city
employees, for our town employees, that's a big budget driver.
Okay. All right.
And you saw that in our Board of Ed. That was our biggest budget driver for the Board of Ed.
It's not somebody who will pocket the money, but
the cost of healthcare has gone up, just like it has for you and me.
Yeah.
And that, somebody told this to me, so the cost of healthcare has gone up by 30%, but your taxes have only gone up 2%. So I'm not suggesting to raise taxes. I'm not saying that, but you can't keep up with a cost like that. So our healthcare is expensive. I think we need a universal healthcare system, and that would help our local budgets a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know why people don't talk about that more. If you have a universal healthcare program, your local taxes will go down because you don't have to pay for your employee healthcare costs.
Wow.
But by a lot. We did an analysis in 2021 in West Orange because we passed a resolution for it, and we would have saved $5 million in our municipal budget that year. But if we had a universal federal healthcare system. But so we have a bunch of debt from long-standing things that we have in town. Like we have the Rock Spring Golf Course, which is right on Northfield Avenue, which is a beautiful, beautiful golf course. But it's costing us a lot. We lose money on it currently, and those are some tough conversations that we're going to have about. Does this make sense to be this way? I think we should put a nice boutique hotel up there, maybe a shop to attract more folks to come to the golf course. We have a lot of debt. We have like millions of dollars in debt for pump stations that help us with our flooding, which are important, but we have to pay those debts off at some point. So we've kicked the can down the road for a very long time.
Okay.
And we've done the same things the same way. And we need new innovative ideas, whether that's being more aggressive with grants, whether that's just questioning things. A lot of times it's just like, this is how we've always done it, so press enter and submit it. And sometimes it's okay to say, why do we do it this way? It's not bad. It doesn't mean you're doing a bad job, but sometimes you can offer something better of an insight. So we can't keep doing the things that we're doing in the same way anymore because it's costing us too much. It's unaffordable to continue to run West Orange in the same way that we are. And, whether that's looking at our contracts every year, right? That's one of the things that's on my website is we should have annual contract assessments, performance assessments.
Okay.
If we give you $100,000 to plow our snow, did you do a good job? That's great. Or were you late? Did you not show up? Did you were you more expensive than you promised us? And then the next year when those contracts come up, the answer can't be, we used them last year, use them again. Why? Why?
Yeah, we need to do an assessment.
An assessment, just like you do at work, right? Your boss once a year says, how are things going? This is what I think you can improve on. Great. We should do that every single year because that'll save us money. That'll keep people on their toes, not to scare people, but it holds you accountable.
Yeah. Just
like you do at the ballot box, right? Every 3 years, you get to go vote for 2 years. You get to go vote for Congress, right? You put them in place 1 year. If you don't like them, vote them out the next year. Hold people accountable. And that's one way we get out of our budget is to change the folks who have been in office for a long time. I'm born and raised in West Orange. I grew up with all these people who are elected, and I disagree with some of them a lot. But it's important to be able to maintain those relationships. And I think when you have new voices and new energy who can think innovatively, creatively, and have experience in government and know what other towns are doing really well, to learn from them. It's okay to learn. It's important to learn, to grow, to admit your mistakes and then learn from them. It's part of being a leader is admitting when you're wrong. And when you're wrong, how do you fix it?
Yeah.
And we can't keep saying we're wrong, we're wrong, we're wrong, and then not fixing it. And that's how we get $171 million a day.
Yes. You were born and raised in West Orange.
Yes.
So what is your assessment of the city? the city from where you born when you were a little kid. So, what is your analysis or your point of view of the city?
Yeah, I love West Orange. I really do. With everything in my body, I grew up playing soccer with my friends all day. The diversity in our town is wonderful. With people from all walks of life, all countries, all nations, all different religions. I love. We have a restaurant on our corner that's owned by a wonderful Muslim man, and everybody who eats there's Jewish. It's great. It's a wonderful town. We do pretty good with our services that we provide. We have really good garbage cleanup. I'll admit that. I think our snow removal services, everyone in Essex County always tells us we have the best snow removal. So the services we provide are good. We can do better. We can try to do them in a more cost-efficient way. We can expand some of our programs that we offer specifically to our seniors and specifically to our young people. We're going to have a big issue the next year and the next 2 years with how we're helping our youngest residents because of the cuts that the Board of Ed just made, where they cut middle school sports, or they cut some theater and arts programs. So the town is going to have to figure out a way to provide those, because when you don't provide them, people get bored. They do other things that we don't want them doing. So we need to cultivate the next generation of West Orange residents. And, so those are two areas where we need to work on is senior services and our programs that we offer our young people. We do good work there, but we're going to have to do better. But I love West Orange. It's a great place. Areas that we need to be a little more business friendly and work to support our businesses a little bit better. And we just need a vision. We need to stick to a plan. We need to say, this is what I think our 5 years of West Orange are going to look like. Let's all go on the same page. Let's all keep going as hard as we can to make that potential realized.
Oh, okay. So, how well do you know West Orange? Do you know West Orange well? Or do you know?
I think I know West Orange pretty well.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think. So I've knocked on 3,800 doors, so I've been all over town.
Wow.
I've been all over town. I know a lot of our streets pretty well. I know a lot of our residents pretty well. If I don't remember their name, I know their face. So, yeah.
All right. So, can you tell us more about when you were young and right now? So, is there a lot of difference
in West Orange?
Yes.
It's hard to put your perspective there from when you're a young kid to where you are today. But I mean, I don't know if it's all that different. I would like to think it's becoming a more welcoming and inclusive town. I'd like to think, I grew up in, it was in a very, diverse and welcoming community. My Redwood Elementary School was wonderful. I think some of the differences we've seen is, I think our town is becoming, unfortunately, a little bit more siloed. And I don't even mean necessarily by, gender or race or religion. And if that's the case, then that's something we need to work on. But I think people just stay in their neighborhoods more. Like they're different, we have so many different places, right? We have the Valley, we have the Highlands, we have Gregory, we have St. Cloud, we have Mount Pleasant. People, I feel like, just associate a lot in their neighborhoods, and that's great. It's really important to have close-knit community, but I'd like to see us do more West Orange-wide programming that bring out everybody. And it's great if you show up to the event that's in your neighborhood. Will you show up to the event that's on the other side of town, or that's meant for the entirety of West Orange? I think that's something that I miss. We used to have fireworks in West Orange. We don't anymore, because a couple of years ago we had a little incident where some kids got into a fight, and that kind of ruined it for a lot of folks. But not even with the fireworks, but just events like that where everyone in town comes out. I miss that a lot about West Orange. But no, I don't think a ton has changed. I mean, we've developed a lot more, which is a problem. I think we're developing too quickly in terms of building. We need to slow down a little bit and make sure we're doing it in a thoughtful way that makes sense for our town. But it's still a great place in my opinion. Our property values keep going up, which means your taxes keep going up. So there's something good there. We continuously have very good schools. And I think that's really important as we attract new families to come to West Orange, that our school district remains strong and healthy. So yeah, it's a great place. I love it. It's really it's really a great place to raise a family. I'm glad that that's where my parents chose to raise me. And yeah, place I would never leave.
What is your favorite place in West Orange?
Like
the place where you always want to go.
So my favorite restaurant in West Orange is called Primavera. It's an Italian restaurant right on Pleasant Valley Way. It's been in town for several decades. I love it. It's great Italian food, and all the waiters have been there since they were, since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid, so it's the same staff that comes there. But I really like some of our parks and our trails that we have in West Orange. The South Mountain Reservation is beautiful. I think the county did a wonderful job there right by the zoo. I really, there's a lot of great places. We have this one little trail called Crystal Lake. That's really nice and quiet. It's kind of up by where the Oscar Schindler Performing Arts Center is, near Essex Green. That's a nice little trail. But there's a lot of places in West Orange that don't get the attention they deserve. There's some great new spots that have been opening on Main Street in West Orange. We have a wonderful new Peruvian restaurant called Segura Mar, which is out of this world. Huge portions, lovely food. So there's a lot of great spots in town.
All right. Did you ever go to Johnny's Pizza?
Johnny's, yes. Johnny's is right by Town Hall. It's right on Main Street.
Yeah.
I think it's Main Street.
It's
right on the
Main
corner.
Street.
I think it's still Main. Johnny's is great. Johnny's pizza is great. Yeah.
All right. So I don't think I've no more question for you about how well you know West Orange, because when people are running for office, city council or mayor, I always make sure that they know the city, they know the people, so they not just come and talk about the talking points and they don't know the job, they don't know what is the city is about. Because you need to know the people, you need to know your way around, and this is all you're gonna know exactly what the people want. And that's gonna help you to deliver. So you're not gonna just like living in some parts and then you just come and you said so, so at the federal level or at the state, you're not gonna be able to live in all the cities. But if you are running for city council or mayor, you need to know the city and you need to know it very well. So so all is the election is doing for you. It's doing great. You have a lot of volunteer. You recently have activities on Cambria Hotel, right?
Yes. We had a campaign fundraiser at Cambria Hotel. We had about 70 people that showed up, which was great.
Okay.
From all over town, all different backgrounds. It was a really nice event at the Cambria, and they did a great job hosting us. We've had some other community events around town. Some people are hosting, these little house parties where I come and meet their neighbors and their communities, and those have been going really well. I just was at one on Friday night near our Board of Education. A good friend of mine hosted me in her house with some of her neighbors to just ask questions and to hear my perspective on things. So I'm really trying to be everywhere that I can be. Different community events. We had the West Orange African Heritage Men Who Cook annual event where they raise money for scholarships for young students to go to college. And I cooked. I don't cook a lot, but I cooked. And my food was pretty well received. So trying to go to all of the different community events that we do in town, different basketball tournaments, soccer tournaments. I hosted these World Cup watch parties at a bunch of different restaurants in town so that people could come out. They had a place to go and to gather and watch the games. There's a lot of good things happening in West Orange. I just think we need to get it over the hump. We're slowly climbing up the mountain, and I kind of want to just push us a little bit further.
All right. So thank you so much for the time. I don't know if you have any other question, and you can close with reminding people, or they can vote for you, voting, or if they're gonna go to the ballot box. So, and when gonna be the election, the date of the election, and or they can contact you.
Sure. You can for more about me, my platforms. Most of my things are listed online at Goldsman, Goldsman 4 FOR WO. So Goldsman4WO.com is my website. You can email me. You can email me from there, or my email address is goldsmanfwo@gmail.com. So goldsman4wo@gmail.com. And yeah, I guess my closing message is, November 3rd, we have a real opportunity to elect folks to our town council. We have 2 town council seats that are open. So you can vote for me and somebody else. You can just vote for me, but I think it's important that you exercise all of your options. We have an opportunity to elect people who are from West Orange, who love this town and who have new ideas, real energy, and real solutions. And I'm looking forward to continuing to knock on doors and to earn people's support and their trust, and listen and hear from what folks are saying. But I thank you immensely for the opportunity for being here. This was wonderful. So that's my closing wrap for everybody.
All right. So can you remind people of
November 3rd? November 3rd is the election.
November 3rd is the election. What about early voting? So is it still possible for people to register to vote?
Yes, you can still register to vote. The deadline for registering to vote is 3 weeks before the election, so you have until the first week in October. Plenty of time to register, plenty of time to request a mail-in ballot if you're going to be out of town or it's just easier for you. As we talk about democracy, voting by mail is becoming more and more popular. So if that's a preference that you have as to how you vote, just make sure you're requesting it from the county at a timely fashion. But November 3rd is our election day, and I think ballots will land that first week in October. So if you are a vote by mail voter, you have about a month and a half before you'll have a ballot on your table.
All right. So thank you so much, and I want to thank you for your service, for all the time you spent with the late Congressman Donald Payne. And you just tell me a lot about yourself, or well, you understand democracy and your participation, and we need more people like you to get involved into the process and basically to defend or to save democracy, because without democracy, I don't know where the world will be. My biggest fear is if we lost the democracy, they're gonna take us right back to slavery. This is my biggest fear, because those people, all they care about is money. They don't care about humanity at all. They don't care about helping people. They took USAID out. A lot of people are suffering in Africa and in Haiti, and all the suffering that they're doing all over the world, it's not enough for them. They're gonna keep doing. They're gonna keep on doing, because like now when you have 200,000 Asian people, they cannot go to work. And it's not only 250,000 people, because in Haiti, they got a family. And they sell everything they got. And send them back. Basically, you're going to send them to hell, and their life going to be actually stopped. So thank you for understanding Asian community. Thank you for your humanity. Thank you for being a friend to the community, and you shows up, you came to the studio, and thank you for that. And also keep doing what you're doing. So thank you so much. And also I know you are in the election, but also sometimes take time to listen to the Asian community. So probably if you can say something, if you can help, because right now we need a lot of support. Thank you in advance for what you are going to do. So when you're gonna be at the city council, because the city need to offer the immigrants some kind of thing. They cannot just stay like that and say to other people to do whatever they want. They at least can pass a resolution to help, because in West Orange there's a lot of immigrants, not only Asian. A lot of Spanish, a lot of Chinese. I know Pleasant Valley, where there is a good restaurant, Jack and Jill, or Chinese restaurant. Bill and Harris. Yes, there's a lot of immigrant community. So the city need to say at least something to support the immigrant.
And just one last thing, if I might, on my website, my entire website is translated into Spanish and Haitian Creole.
Oh, thank you.
So anybody can, hopefully can learn and listen a little bit closer in a language that's easier for them.
All right, thank you so much, and that's not gonna be your last interview.
I hope I'm back soon.
Yes, thank you so much, and we're gonna listen to a little bit of Al Sharpton. The time for me to my guests to go back outside, and I will be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just need a few more hours to do what I got to do. Well, that sounds crazy, but if you understand that God made the sun, and God made the moon and the stars, and God made you, sometimes God will adjust nature if you'll stand up and have enough faith in His word.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to Washington. They tell me that Trump controls the
All
court.
right.
They tell me that Trump controls the Senate. They tell me that Trump controls the Congress. But I go with the God of Joshua. That I want to stand on the steps of Lincoln Memorial and say, I know Trump is in office, but God is still on the throne. And give us a little sun stopping. Give us power over the wicked. If we stand up, hold us up. If we fight, we can win our battle. It's our day. It's our time. I don't care how long the march. We got to stand up anyhow. We're not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back.
Oui, amis auditeurs, Jean, nous sommes de là, Révérend Chapton, qui est même là, et a dit nous que, pas tout nous pas tout. Donc, je connais un chanteur qui dit, non, non, pas tout. Donc, c'est comme ça, amis et auditeurs, situation liée. Même pas oublier, 28 août, après gagner là, on chauffe arrête, on connaît, chauffeur arrête, c'est même important, et pour que nous capables de faire message passé. Donc, ça, lui-même, lui, après, aider, ouais, comment situation. Donc, nous connaissons la situation immigration, comment lié, là, et bagaille extrêmement difficile, et pour communauté, et là, moi, je pense que c'est renfort pour nous chercher renfort, nous besoin et renforcer nous besoin et en pile support pour que nous capables là avancer les amis et auditeurs. Donc gens que nous réaliser ça et en pile bien presque espoir là vraiment et bah difficile un peu le monde a metté quoi ouvert vous comprenez et nous comment bagaille yo et vini donc là important pour que nous garder ensemble et qui ça qui est capable faire amis auditeurs donc là nous gain ensemble avec nous Sony c'est frère qui c'est un collaborateur et qui vraiment est important pour nous. Même malgré nous pas parler pendant quelques temps, même si nous dit Sony, mardi avec jeudi, là, nous toujours est présent pour que nous capables de parler, échanger ensemble avec la communauté. Bonsoir Sony, comment nous est?
Bonsoir M. Dima, bonsoir et c'est un plaisir de vous voir et pour ma bouche.
Oui, Sony, comment pays aille ou même qui dans le pays d'Haïti et comment situation économique là et surtout ensemble avec là dans pile monde petit pièce qui pas capable de travailler. Qui soit attendez comment communauté a réagi sur question ça.
Merci c'est ma question et une question comment pays aille bon on va nous connaît déjà comment pays d'Haïti un pays qui a beaucoup de temps, on est le cas et pour question PSU et il y a station haïtien pas comme moi ça pas comme ça parce que ton pays là à sécurité côté on a pour gouvernement et il prêt pour prévoir parce que 300 000 haïtiens
Ok, men nou la gen avyon ki komanse ap debake. Et conseil de moun tou et dans pays d'Haïti qui te dit te supporter, conseil de Haïtien qui te dit te supporter ça bien là. Est-ce que moun sa yo même yo repenti et de ça été dit tant que bon partenaire nous avons dit le chef créole, et bien chef créole là lui-même il dit le regrette et est-ce qu'il te supporter ça bien là. Est-ce que ou te kon moun qui te supporter ça bien là et est-ce que moun sa yo repenti de erreur qui ont été fait?
Malheureusement, c'est un peu malheureux. Et je peux travailler en face. L'intérêt de la l'intérêt, ça, je distribue des monnaies. Pour que ça ne soit pas obligé de partir parce que je là, je regarde des nettement par rapport à moi. Je vais passer la question de partir. Parce que le pas est bon ça, il y a privé là, à la politique, il y a ça. L'autre, on va le temps et repartir.
Ok, donc là, moun qui vini yo, est-ce que vous pensez l'État doit accompagner yo, surtout non, si vous avez quelques pantalons, bien quelques pantalettes là, quelques mallettes, est-ce que vous pensez l'État doit accompagner pour que moun yo capable venir avec des trois battants qui yo te gen?
La question de l'État, est-ce que l'État doit accompagner? On n'a pas de l'État. Nous-mêmes, nous avons l'État. Nous avons beaucoup qui vont pouvoir nous faire l'argent. Nous avons beaucoup qui vont pouvoir nous l'État. Et ça va comparer comment. Le monde qui se trouve dans l'État, le monde qui est haïtien, il y a plus de millions de transports. Comment l'État va transporter? Nous pouvons aller regarder le camp. Et après, comme les pays d'Haïti, nous va prendre les pays d'Haïti, comment l'État va se porter? Parce que les étrangers,
Ok, donc, mais si nous pas l'État, et l'État lui-même il dit le pral dans l'élection, et comment nous-mêmes nous hacker, parce que nous connaissons, nous avons un leadership et en un pays, c'est tout, comment nous hacker une nouvelle que l'État lui-même il pas fait l'élection. Donc, et nèg yo son l'argent yo pral et blanchi là sous do malire ak malirez yo. Et qui ça vous pensez que association et organisation ou représenter à lui-même la peut proposer et population. Est-ce qu'on va parler nous de association et dis-nous qui est ce qu'il a dedans et qui ça nous proposer les sociétés. Donc, nous guettons ouais que Haïti même a préparé élection pour plateforme victoire. Et comment manifestation a déjà été planifiée là? Qui côté n'a commencé et qui côté n'a fini? Ok, là, nous allons commencer à chauffer béton en bas pied Alix. Pour nous dire des autres, là, nous ne pas rentrer là-dedans. Donc, qui est comme tête de pont ou bien parti politique qui a chauffé béton ensemble avec nous? Et qui leader notable ou bien moun qui fait parler dans la communauté à manifestation ça. Nous déjà dit nous c'est combien vers la cassation. Est-ce que Emma Tentatou a foulé béton? Est-ce que sénateur Zoki qui a foulé béton? Ou bien tout le leader qui n'en fait commun ou même qui a foulé béton dans la manifestation ça dit Alex et poser ça ou prendre mettre sécurité en dans pays. Ok. C'est Jean-Louis et c'est ancien député, c'est Jean-Louis. Et monsieur a tous les bétons et ensemble avec nous. C'est une majorité et mouvement ça. Et ça, on est tous constatés. Et donc, petit, on est important et ensemble avec les ça fait nous-mêmes la côté, nous et puis c'est un monsieur Simon qui a été poussé vers là. Eh bien, ok, et nous avons bien ces gens-lui dans l'émission, et dit-lui, et dans la prochaine meeting, vous allez avec lui, dit Dieu, dit m'a demandé pour lui, et nous avons bien dans l'émission 4G. Ça vous fait, il a passé, il a participé à l'émission, mais il y a quelques jours là, je vais chercher contact monsieur, je vais joindre ni, donc il rappelle que Jésus m'a arrêté parlons ensemble avec lui dans l'émission et 4G compris. Donc, à part de oui, hello? Oui. Yeah, parce que je dans le dans background. Pas un problème, nous connaissons Haïti, et Haïti, on a essayé quand même. Mais et l'autre organisation jeune, est-ce qu'il y a des béton? Parce que nous connaissons les jeunesses extrêmement important dans les affaires et dans les affaires. Qui l'autre organisation qui a accompagné? Est-ce que c'est seulement M. Assassin ou bien il y a l'autre monde? Ou bien est-ce que l'opposition progressiste là et eux-mêmes n'y a pas accompagné nous dans la bataille?
Des mouvements politiques dans l'opposition progressiste qui n'a mouvement parce que cause concernant de la contestation et nous avons fait un peu de jeunes et un peu de leaders et c'est ce qui m'a qui engagé dans le pas avec nous parce que nous décidé de ne pas partager aller des mises dans les il y a des millions de dollars américains pour jamais nous faire autant de dégâts à l'extérieur de la réussite parce que pour que ça nous-mêmes et n'a pas commun nous dit à l'extérieur à tout de là parce que c'est un équipe pas intègre pas capable de pas aucune qualité ni pour
Ok, donc la message là c'est que pour surtout la jeunesse, si on est nous-mêmes dans TT des Tintin démocrates, nous aimons travailler ensemble avec jeunes. Et message pour jeunes, c'est que nous lever camper. Parce que nous avons gardé longtemps, nous avons Alger Bosco dans ce domaine, ou bien Chili, ou bien Colombie, ou bien aux États-Unis, mais pour y a là, il a changé. Bon, nous avons demandé pour travailler et débarquer dans le pays d'Haïti. Et il y a un peu la Chine commence à dire, quel que soit ça lié, il faut que les gens même changer en pays. Wap des autres, wap parler avec le fait, et puis de jour en jour, où est pays à lui-même, là, est rentré, et que, il qui dit, il n'y a pas de blanc, mais il y a la nouvelle, il y a la encore ça. Donc, maintenant, les plus jeunes, pour prendre responsabilité, pour manifester, c'est vraiment une bonne façon pour le faire. Les gens rentrent parmi eux pour capable déstabiliser ou bien pour capable craser le mouvement, faire de manière pacifique. Son message à envoyer, ces gens qui est dans mon pod et qui n'a pas cette force nationale démocratie. Il y a surtout quelque nationale démocratie. FMD ça lui-même. Il n'a pas parlé directement avec ces gens sur ça, mais quand bien même, message là, c'est 10 jeunes, jeunes qui sont dans la diaspora, qui jeunes qui sont dans le pays d'Haïti, pour que nous défendent le pays, défendent le droit, parce que c'est ça la démocratie. La démocratie, on a dit, pour capable faire une démonstration, pour capable dénoncer, et c'est pour ça seulement capable de défendre la liberté. Parce que si on ne défend la liberté, on ne pas défendre la démocratie, eh bien, à n'importe quel moment là, on a décidé de mettre chaîne dans le pied. Quand des fois, ça a commencé les Haïtiens, on met des bracelets pour eux. Bon, bracelet lui-même, c'est yon, mais les Haïtiens, ils mettent des bracelets pour eux, les Haïtiens, ils ont barrette. Ils ont barrette pour yon tout et l'autre. Les Haïtiens, ils ont boulgogo pour yon tout et l'autre. C'est même moun ça, même moun qui a pour les Haïtiens. Dans la diaspora, même moun sa yo qui a bail, qui bal, qui voit les armes dans le pays d'Haïti, pour Haïti capable de tout Haïti. Nous avons aussi un peuple haïtien, ni dans la diaspora, ni dans le pays d'Haïti. Nous devons connaître ça et m'encourager nous. Nous mettons les macadam parce que Et gapil bagay nou pa ka fè pa bo ici, mais en Haïti, réplique les mêmes libre bail et les tout bon pays en nous faut que là les mêmes et c'est que Paul lever et à qui les manifestants commencé parce que nous avons mis sous lui
et manifestation commence à 10 heures, à 10 heures, parce qu'il est monté tellement et puis une atterri de formule, une algérie que message là, et finalement des et par exemple, parce que il n'y a aucune qualité pour la qualité. Et le pas important là, et c'est dimanche, on parle de ce même question de France, on parle de Michel Matéli, et nous pensons, Michel Matéli, nous pensons et de toute façon, qui voit les candidats. Michel, vous allez à la France aussi, et on risque de dans le pays d'Haïti qui va capacité de la liste Michel Matéli même, et toute vraisemblance qui va être. À mon avis, Michel Matéli sont envoyés blanc.
Normalement, normalement. Il est clair pour tout le monde. Il est clair pour tout le monde là. Et même passer faut mon yo lever camper. Faut moi Jean Charles. Yo il a tout monsieur ça yo fait on sacrifice on fou. Véritable fou parce que là pour un premier ministre. Un premier ministre qui a foncé de désordre mais pour y a là souvin gen un président pour y a là c'est désordre et aller même il était fait par en bas. Il faut ouvrir le parlement parce que si il y a un parlement dans le pays, donc bon désordre, au moins un sénateur, ou bien un deux sénateurs, ou bien trois sénateurs, t'as capable de dénoncer. Et puis, à la fin, même, ou pas de parlement, pas de chambre de députés, pas de chambre de sénateur. OK? Donc, les règles des autres, avec pays, il y a aussi un contrat ouvert, aussi un contrat sécurité, aussi un contrat mine, aussi un contrat aussi un contrat et monde, il y a aussi tout quelque contrat parce que pas de parlement, pas de petits oreilles là, pas de débat public et pas de vote. Donc, même parce que le parlement qui crase à ce véritable catastrophe lié pour le pays d'Haïti. Donc, bagaille qui est là, il c'est bon aux enchères. Même là, avec les gens qui sont capables de dire là, sont délivrés à domicile. Sont livraisons à domicile. À domicile que les gens livrés pays. Avec dit là, si monsieur peut décider là, débarquer, il y a le premier, il est livré à domicile. Donc, c'est ça qui passe. Donc, je pense que l'important, après message de passé, ma boue par l'autre camarade en Haïti, pour que vous capable de la réalité. Donc, et qui message pour gagner là pour nous qui sont diaspora? Ok, très bien là. Et nous-mêmes qui dans le pays d'Haïti, on prend une situation et puis les gens nous débarquer et c'est comprendre et c'est pas ensemble avec eux. On pense que si il y a un minimum, mais c'est mettre ensemble avec eux. On peut faire 3 mois, 1 an, 2 ans dans l'autre pays, on ensemble façon, un ensemble de connaissances, un ensemble de modes de fonctionnement pour ramasser, ouais, comment bagaille est fait de façon différente, j'en lien dans le pays d'Haïti. Et je pense que 350 000, quel que soit quantité qui descend en Haïti, il y a des agents de changement. Pour dire, mais comment moi, bagaille est fait l'autre pays. Mais comment moi, restaurant fait, par exemple. Mais comment moi, délivrer fait. Mais comment moi, je prends soin de l'hôpital. Mais comment moi, je fais taxi. Mais comment moi, route yo. Mais comment moi, la mairie. Mais ensemble de l'information que nous avons, nous sommes capables d'écouter et ça doit une force de changement pour le pays d'Haïti. Parce que le pays d'Haïti a besoin de monde, besoin de puissance et besoin de moyens économiques. Donc, on vous remercie et là, et pour nous vivre une manifestation en direct, et je dis, on est capable de faire un résumé de comment la manifestation est passée. Par contre, c'est mon dernier mot. Merci en pile, Kimbela. Salut Marcus, salut tout amis pour nous, tout camarades, parce que nous connaissons toujours en bataille à différents niveaux. En pile réunion, on est vraiment conséquent. Ni dans le département, ni dans le département, lorsqu'elle nous a trouvé à toujours, dans le démocrate, bien dans la réflexion, dans la façon à agir, et force de changement lui-même, la paix et pas pour nous. Kimbela, n'a pas le prochain. Ok. Les amis auditeurs, là, nous, émission, et qui ne pensait qui est extrêmement important. Il y a une vidéo là sur Internet, là, côté que, et là, c'est son chef, c'est son chef, c'est son créolito. Et monsieur dit, là, nous parlons de vidéo, parce qu'il y a un peu de nous attendre. Ouais. Parce que les viral, cela, se repentit de péché. Délivré, délivré, oui, moi, sous, à péché pour toujours. Là, c'est là, demain, bien, en réunion de prière, c'est communauté a besoin la prière, peuple là, souffri là, n'a regardé, il y a pile côté, n'a regardé marcher pas. Il va vivre côté que dans pile côté. Yo dit là, il y a un grand monde l'école. C'est comme si la chasse aux sorciers, il a fait là. Et ça me dit, je me dis, bah, c'est, il y a des gens qui dit aux époux, qui a fait une belle. À chaque fois, le dossier il n'apparaît, avec son dossier apparaît là. Bon, l'autre dossier, par ou bien, bon, c'est des gens qui décident de faire l'autre là par elle. Faut nous gagner mon comme ça fait par beaucoup petit garçon. Comment petit garçon. Et faut nous mettre ces portables là qui vont pour la ah. Ça veut dire là, vous mettre par mal, comprenez? Qui est mon par belle. Il y a des gens qui sont dans la presse là, ou avocat, ou bien docteur, si c'est dents qui sont longues, ou bien figure qui couche, et les gars, ou une façon, si c'est des plate, on va arranger le système qui plate, qui tombe à terre, elle a monté des pots, elle est belle. Là, vous avez dit, une équipe haïtienne, spécialement haïtienne, depuis les gars viennent aux États-Unis, ils vont bout de travail. Il met l'argent à la banque, vous comprenez? Il commence une certaine stabilité, il a fait business, Faut lui faire quand monter, il pense qu'il est républicain. Faut lui de respect, hein? Faut lui sous mon sous la chou, monter dans tête, il pense qu'il pense qu'il a ça. Pour notre citoyen qui monsieur tout bas, là, il mettait Nasle dans pied. Ça a fait mal. Mais, il dit, mon pile la gagne. Il dit, monsieur, son qui innocent. Monsieur pas connaître qui ça tomber. Monsieur pas connaître qui monde la vivre. Monsieur pas connaître if is behind the enemy line. Un film qui après nous capable de regarder, c'est behind the enemy's line. A dit beaucoup en dedans. Il y a des gens et c'est ça m'a dit élected official ni on yo nous a. Faut que nous fassions un travail pour que nous capables parler avec peuple. Pour nous dire ouais, c'est pas ennemi. Et motivation faut que mais dit par l'argent lié nèg yo pas joindre Biden yo pas joindre démocrate yo algérie Moscou yo sous haïtien sous motivation c'est ça son monde qui marché son frère qui doit je mettre bracelet à dans pied devant caméra monsieur ton battre vous appelez dit on calme on des haïtiens comme ça des haïtiens qui conséquents pas prendre ça qui marcher dans la voiture qui va prendre mal et nous sommes dit que il n'est pas préparé, il n'est pas préparé là. Il n'est pas connaître qui bataille, qui combat. Il n'est pas connaître si il y a on sait de racistes qui a acheté la caillou, qui a préparé plan pour envahir la gonade. Les gens disent, ils ont tuer tout garçon qui la gonade, ils ont fait famille avec Timio. Ça veut dire qu'il y a des gens qui pour, c'est pour. Il y a des gens qui ne parlent pas moins. Il y a des gens qui parlent mais pour la caillou. Mais il y a des gens qui parlent même pas pour même la caillou. Là, monsieur Tobatia, monsieur dit, ouais, monsieur Tobatia, ouais, il va contre ça, non, qui ça, là. Il dit, waouh! Je ne vais pas dire ça parce que les camps bien même. Magaï, non. Bon, regardez les gars, quand bien même, c'est son bracelet. Mais c'est son bracelet, Bali. Regardez son barrette de Bali pour le tuer haïtien. Regardez son boulgo, yo mette dans mel pour faire mon yo en Haïti, oui. Donc, ça fait mal, et ça dit ma pile. C'est comme son qui va contre le système, non? Qui pas contre si on sait de mon qui a préparé on sait des plans. Parce qu'il me dit ça. Si la démocratie a tombé là, bien les victimes dans sa haïtien, ça nous battre un esclavage. C'est ça que les hommes haïtiens défendent la démocratie, ils pensent que c'est blague. Les hommes haïtiens défendent votre île, c'est oh Dieu, lui-même tout à penser. On est qui dit tout à penser. On est pour nous, pas occuper non. On est bien pour nous. On est bien pour nous, pas occuper. Ouais, livre ça m'écrit démocratie à Dieu, on est là tant pour Bible. Ouais, j'en ai mis Bible pour occuper. On est là tant pour Bible. Donc là, citoyen tout va faire. Moi, et vidéo assez dans le King Center qui fait ça, ça veut son aigle mentalement pas préparé. Mentalement pas calme. Mentalement pas comme si la troisième guerre mondiale. Mentalement, il va connaître si on blackout qui passe là. Peace mode. Il va connaître si système on va qui passe là, on va stéroïde qui tombe, c'est mal. Automatiquement switch là. Ça est commun. survival of the fittest. And it's not supposed to say donc, ça, ça me dit vidéo virale. Et c'est ça qu'il faut Haïti, pas de bataille. Pas de qui connaît comme ça, oui. Police. Autant de police qui c'est police, pour mettre des polices qui grasé. Les polices qui prennent ça. Et police qui pied. Barbecue comme policier, il tourne chef. Ah bah, Ralph, on sait des quasiment bail comme ça. C'est policier, puis pas aussi, des armes. Et puis, c'est la brutale. Les qui vous a protégé, c'est même encore capable. Les là, pour le taper le bataille, je mets tes bracelets, à pas de bracelets. Il va camper pour il va camper pour défendre ça. Il va camper pour fonger rouge. Là, bon, ouais, dame, ça me va, je me connais si les haïtiens. Si dame, ça, c'est haïtien. Tout le temps, souffle, en réseau, l'a bien passé. Les dames, ça pas l'école, mettre deux mains dans la tête. Dit, oh, ouais, avant ça, haïtien, connaît. Oh. Ok, ça, c'est pas chef que là. Ok, let's go back. Okay. Ça, c'est vidéo et petit partenaire chef créole là. Mais, même le peuple là, moi, population là, pas là, monsieur, correctement, correctement. Il dit, monsieur, qui est-ce qui même pas, je me pense que si dame ça, non, ni sur les réseaux sociaux, sur garder signes. Pas tu penses si haïtien. Elle a commencé à la guerre, créole, la disquette. Même dit, oh, c'est nous là. Allez, go. Hein? Parce qu'elle dit sur les réseaux sociaux, elle l'a frappé, vous comprenez? Il a qui est dans la oui. Même pas, je me pense que c'est le haïtien. Bon. Hope you get everything you voted for. I really do. I hope all your businesses close. Because for some reason, when you guys come over here, it's like they put a spell on y'all. Because I know for a fact how Moon Haiti once they know how they think about the colonizers. And yet y'all bring y'all asses over here. Forget the fact that you're black. Forget the fact that you're here. Forget the fact that you're forget the fact that everything is degrading. And you voted for food. And now you're on the news bitching and whining. Is this the one? Okay. Ok. Parti c'est bon. Parti ça. Anyway. Yeah. Bon. Là, regardez cela, les plots. Regardez cela. Pas grave, empêcher de tirer les pieds. Empêcher de fâcher. Oh. Ok, là, et Master Pizza, c'est pas seulement, et Johnny's Pizza, faut demander pour Master Pizza, et il y a un pile restaurant dans la communauté, hein, comprenez? Pour ne pas faire genre, pas faire genre, on parle. So, we'd like to say hi to Master Pizza, to all the uh, people that are working there, Sisi, Mitch, well, so, tout le monde qui a travaillé dans Master Pizza, qui t'aime tout le temps ça là pour que nous saluer tout commanditaire, tout qui supporte nous, tout le monde avec nous, tout le monde pour yo même là, yo après, et bien passé. Ok, là, nous saluons tout le monde, nous net en général. Mais pour nous, nous disons sous dossier, regardez qui est même tiré pied, on a la mobilité, nous prenons pas dans le parce que ici, là, voilà, nous pas jouer, nous pas jouer. Ok? Donc là, là on parle de chef créole là. Mais vous passer. Ah, you play Charlie. Ok. Là, même j'en garde sans sorti là, bon bon monde, pour une raison ou pour l'autre, yo gon folie fréquent. Yo gon sous monde qui monte yo petit wall. Of course que c'est démocratie capable de choisir sauver. Ou ka choisir sauver, but sauver à lui-même là, et il ne doit pas, il doit pas choisir. Il doit faut paraître extrêmement net. Et c'est exactement ça qui a passé là, les amis auditeurs. Yo extrêmement et pour communiquer. Donc, là, faut que nous agissions en tant que communauté. Faut que nous agissions en tant que communauté. Pour que nous soyons capables là, donc, c'est pas seulement chef créole là qui est style ça. Gen nèg là et émission, gen nèg là et dans ces l'autre émission, yo toujours et folie fréquent ça. Moi les bail ça folie fréquent parce que conseil de monde c'est folie fréquent qui est rien, vous comprenez? Yo qui folie fréquent, qui folie yo qui folie al chercher rang en Haïti, lo Haïti yo pas comprendre, vous comprenez? Les nèg là chercher rang et puis là il y a des problèmes. Donc là, nous sommes plein, monsieur regrette, nous sommes plein parti. Monsieur dit là, il pas beaucoup lui, il pas doué, il pas doué à rentrer, il pas doué à rentrer dans ça parce que il y a là, c'est business. Charge à problème, il y a un problème, monsieur a mal passé. Donc, moi, je pense que l'important pour nous faire passer à la réalité. La réalité, c'est qui ça y est. Obama déporté un bon monde. Biden déporté un bon monde. Vraie solution, c'est que faut changer pays. Même pas jamais oublier quand me sorti là. Si on est bien folie fréquent, là le changer 10, là le changer date, là le fait pas. Ça c'est dans eux même. L'essentiel ça qui est changer. Premier bagage pour changer pays, il faut un blanc de qui laquelle et faut nous même tout pour penser de voler. C'est moi bah Megan Kelly pas même les ont bonne parole qui pas bon, mais gros c'est des paroles qui dit faut work ethic haïtien changer. Faut suspendre faire loup-garou, l'air manger l'autre. Faut voler là. Faut suspendre yon détruit l'autre, là, nèg la font bagarre là. Et comme on combat, monde qui a fait ça. Oui, si nèg la font émission, ou qu'on est conseil de l'autre nèg qui a sous lui. C'est pas comme si on a fait le tour là-bas. Oui, je dis ça pas les comme si ça l'a fait là-bas. Même toujours supporter le monde pour dire, bon, si on a fait ça, bon, bah, on coupe, mais on a avancé. Bah, j'aime t'entendre m'a parler comme si là, on monde qui me connaît, c'est une bagaille, patati patata. Non. Haïtien lui-même, il doit changer. Il faut changer. C'est monde nous, il faut agir dans l'autre monde. Il faut gagner éthique à caille nous. Il faut suspendre faire loup-garou, mal faire des diable. Parce que ça vient du pays. Il faut suspendre voler l'argent l'État. Il faut encourager l'autre monde qui a fait bagaille. Pas de monde qui a une faiblesse. Pas de monde qui parfait. Mais, détruire nèg là, manger, faire complot sous dol, parler ça qui mal là, on sait pas quoi dire sous mon derrière dol wap ti. Ça veut dire dans l'église, cap dit parole sous do derrière do moun et ou connaît ça la dire pas ka dire dans moun là, automatiquement le pays a si il y a des gens il y a toujours été même gens, mais qui est-ce qui casse c'est moun yo ou pas 40 pas 40 de détruire. Mais là, regardez pour et sous page là, une série de des négociations et même pas faire because I want to be better than them. Pas parler non logique pour plus mal passer, non non logique to be better than them. That's my logic. Et ça fait plutôt petit, ça fait bon. C'est pas capable de faire. I do it because I just want to show everybody that I'm better than them. I can help. I can support you. I can be there with you. And I know you're not going to be there. I know you're not going to support me. But I just want to show that I'm better than you. Babal faut que comme si qui a des trous, bien qu'il parle mal. Parce que c'est jeune. Donc, un haïtien qui a un folie fréquent, un haïtien qui n'a pas de rôle, pas de classe. On dit à la, ok, bon, c'est de me dire, oh, les démocrates ont été plus mal, les éditions, Clinton grâce et dit, il faut faire coup d'état, il dit sur date. Il faut tout ces mêmes, parce que c'est, on a aussi il a cherché couverti, il a cherché couverti pour cacher. Ça peut et dans la radio éclair. Qui est-ce que toujours comme invité? Regardez pour notre les émissions qui peut écouter le matin et puis jusqu'à tous les qu'est-ce que les je reste bégué, il y a bien millions de dollars. Même parce que les démocrates, les républicains, tous c'est américains. Mais avec une différence, parce que si yon te égal l'autre comme ça, si yon te matché l'autre, si yon te même avec l'autre, comme ça, il n'y a pas de noms différents. Différence, c'est dans le moment, différence, c'est dans le mode de fonctionnement. Yon a dû venir, bon, l'autre a dû aller. Ça a dû venir lui-même. Nouvelle porte pour lui pas aider Haïti. Parce que une bonne ressource qui court quitter le pays, mais pour qui ça ressource quitter le pays, pour peut-être que ça fait obligé. Peut-être que ça fait parce que même toujours dit depuis 2019, voyez blanc. Voyez toute force qui est capable de solutionner le problème, ça parce que ça fait si monsieur démocrate pas de faire, c'est parce que si monsieur qui l'a au premier, il est toujours en partenaire qui était sénateur, m'tande qui gagne l'autre job là. Bon nek ça ou là dans congrès pas jamais les supporter Haïti pour solution vini. Et qui est-ce qui fait mal, qui est-ce qui fait ça qui peut dans le pays d'Haïti même. Il y a parlé tout était pas dit, pas bien poser question ça. Démocrate, sont série de démocrates qui parlent des sentiments, même une démocratie qui Yahweh nous a fait bon travail, pas rien contre Yahweh. Mais seulement qu'il y a des pouvoirs. Mais jour décidé après mettre pouvoir à monde qui comprennent pas, fait payer à marcher, même penser là bon. Mais au lieu qu'on conseille le petit bon, là, on a Michel Martelly, qui c'est esclave blanc. Là, et Chavez. Du club, c'est un outil en dans système là. D'ailleurs, qui est-ce qui t'a mené à Washington? Première fois, Martelly t'es candidat. Qui est-ce qui t'a mené à Washington? Mais qui t'a mené à Washington, c'est lui-même là qui le matin, mais il va jamais poser les vraies questions. Il va jamais poser qu'est-ce qui t'a mené à Washington? Qui est-ce qui était conseiller spécial ambassadeur? Bagay une connexion et le matin Nicole patati patata lost mais même si qui gagne mission 6 heures et deux quantités monsieur qui est-ce qui toujours les vous participer dans l'émission nous participer qui est-ce qui vont et inviter pour parler politique et professeur qui toujours peut pas être là. Donc, même pense que Haïtien toujours gon folie fréquent, toujours gon folie en grand, toujours gon folie toujours gon folie sous toujours gon folie sous. C'est ça et bah créole là, monsieur créole. Donc, je dis à la communauté à nous, peut-être charger ça là, n'a toujours pas avec Al Chapton, on va Al Chapton même. Al Chapton le 28 août, même parce que 28 août je pense que Nyon lui-même, au moins, si ça a, il était supposé qu'à faire. Je vais regarder là, je vais pas la charger. Je vais regarder là, si Nyon il a d'ailleurs pour dire, si ça, au moins, si ça va. On nous bataille pour la démocratie. On est pas à faire ça, ou juste dire, on cherche vraiment prêt pour l'esclavage, prêt pour mettre chaîne. Je dis, il bracelet, il mettait des là. Bon, c'est pas une démocratie. Si on ne va pas défendre la démocratie, et là, il commence à mettre des chaînes. Là, il va mettre des chaînes comme si chaîne ça c'est une chaîne électronique. Et là, il dit ça va chaîne on brasse non, son chaîne électronique. Chaîne là, même style. Il a mis le nom parce que à ça, il y a pour déplacement, il a attendu son abdi, son pays, mais vous comprenez, sous la, sous cabane à madame, il y a pour équipement, vous comprenez, il a oublié de le connaître, donc, c'est là même que vous connaissez que, il a et de nous, il faut défendre la démocratie. Donc, là, les déconditions de pays d'Haïti, vous avez dit, monsieur, qu'on a fait formation, parce que les gars ne comprennent pas, pas supporter qu'on a fait formation dans le pays d'Haïti. C'est bandit, les déconditions dans le pays d'Haïti, là, qu'on est venu à droite, on fait formation, on va là, on passe sur la visite. Et bien, même nous, c'est bandit, et bandit, on a supporté, nous pas connaître. Bon, je vous dis à là. Donc, amis auditeurs, émission c'était Goldsman et pas déçu du tout, vraiment content parce que monsieur Gagnon est carrière politique an dan sosyete al avèk le Congressman Donald Payne. Se parol, paske la, faut être prudent, faut être naïf. On a avec l'homme. C'est pas comme le serpent, je ne peux le dire. Donc, sous ça, il dit nous, et il dit nous là, ses amis communautaires, est-ce qu'elle et si c'est une là 2h, 3h du matin, parce que là, il y a une technique que monsieur utilisé, c'est même technique, bandits utilisé pour kidnapper mon dans le pays d'Haïti. On met des masques, on met des antennes, bon là, pour Haïtien, bon Haïtien là, avant que les arrivent sous, il y a un contrôle. Qui l'a sorti, qui l'a entré, qui n'a pas qui n'a chamboulé, à n'importe quel moment. Ça veut dire nous complètement en danger. Complètement à découvert. Complètement à découvert. Complètement à découvert. Il n'est qu'un de système, il n'est pas fait travail pour nous, il n'y a pas bien dans l'émission pour dire nous, à qui niveau que nous, complètement à découvert. Ça dit tout le monde dans nous là. Ça veut dire, nous contrôle les sécurités, nous contrôle les pays d'Haïti avec Timis. Nous contrôle haïtien au Babo ici. Donc, collatéral, nous juste avec collatéral, nous juste là, et pas, il est qu'on dit watch your six. Et on dit là, mets-toi à couvert. Donc, même pas c'est ancien leader depuis 40, 35 ans, comme si là, le système de compétition. Mettez communauté avec notre communauté pour les attaquer nous, pour nous. C'est ça qu'on a essayé de faire. Parler avec notre communauté, inviter, parler avec eux, parler travailler ensemble avec eux. Les courir là pour au moins là, dire, et les pour nous relayer tout le bâton qui en nous, pour les tout job sous nous pour dire, ah, mais fond ici. Ça on fait. Ukrainien, on bon monde dans notre communauté. J'appelle. Donc, les autres avancer sur le bon ennemi. Ça veut dire là, et tant pour toujours. Je pense à après bagay ça, on ensemble de haïtiens de folie sous nous, pour qu'on ait un qui est au besoin. Merci tout le monde, à la prochaine.
They fit to find, but they no find past you. Oh, nah, nah. They fit to find, but they no find past you. Bad past you. They fit to carry, they no carry past you. got the bars. Everything bars.